Good evening, ballers. Welcome to Big Balls Fantasy Football, the show by real fantasy football fans for real fantasy football fans. I'm your host, 20-year fantasy veteran, and now fan of the 1-0 Chicago Bears, Greg Reifsteck.
And I am your co-host, Jenilee Borek, also a Bears fan, very excited about our win, and a 10-year fantasy veteran, and together we are the beauty
and the beast
of fantasy football experts.
Now, Jenilee, you know the Bears got Manninged back in the day in 2006.
We did get Manninged, unfortunately.
But did you know anybody that got Manninged this week, fantasy style?
I did. I know a few fantasy managers that got Manninged. I didn't, of course. I got lucky. I wasn't playing against him in any league. But
Smash in our league got burned. Smash in our league got burned really, really, really bad.
I definitely know some people that got Manninged, so
yes,
sucks for them.
It was about an 80-point problem. But let's break down exactly what happened last week and define for our viewers exactly what getting Manninged is, fantasy style, and we hope the entire fantasy world embraces our new term into the football dictionary and gives our damn show credit for it.
Yeah, really. So take that, SportsCenter, because you guys are not the only ones that get to make up and coin some fun sports terms.
En fuego. Really? En fuego? That easy? Come on. So Manninged. Definition of Manninged is when a bionic quarterback, Peyton Manning, or any other NFL player racks up such an obscene amount of fantasy football points for a fantasy team that the opposing fantasy manager starts to cry, send profanity-laced texts, swear at the TV, or vomit.
So let's use it in a little bit of a sentence so that people really understand what we're talking about here. It goes something like, crap, I can't believe Manning just threw another touchdown to Wes Welker. I just got frickin' Manninged. Damn it.
Yep, that's about it. You know, yep, unless you were a complete shut-in with no internet access or TV, you know that Peyton Manning became only the 6th quarterback to throw 7 touchdowns against a very rebuilt, as we found out, very rebuilt Ray Lewis-less Ravens defense last Thursday.
And unfortunately for the Giants, he will be taking on Eli and the rest of them this Sunday in the afternoon game. So, do you think he's going to do it again? Do you think it's possible?
I don't think he'll do it again. I don't think a quarterback's going to do it for a while. It hadn't happened since '69.
That is a long time.
It's a really long time. But if it does, we will be Facebooking it at facebook.com/BigBallsFantasyFootball. We will be talking about it on our podcast, brand new at blogtalkradio.com/BigBallsFantasyFootball. Also, we'll be tweeting about it at BigBallsFBall.
Absolutely. So, are we ready to get into my real men?
We need some real men that'll help people get Manninged or not get Manninged. Hopefully, not get Manninged.
Hopefully not get Manninged.
That's right.
All right, let's do it.
I need a real man. Have you seen him? I haven't found him, baby.
Hi, so welcome to my Real Man segment. And for those of you that don't know, I just give you picks of the week every week. We are now into the 2nd week of the season. And last week, I did pretty good for you guys. Julio Jones had a good week. Also, Kansas City's defense had a very good week. So if you picked them up just to plug and play, they did great. I think we all fell on the Stephen Ridley thing. He definitely did not work out. But here are my 3 for this week. So my first one is wide receiver Reggie Wayne. Now, he's basically like a one-ball pick. He's not risky, and he might be old, but he is still Luck's go-to guy. He had 8 catches for 96 yards and a touchdown. And they're playing Miami this week. Miami's defense does not rank in the top 10 as a passing defense. So I don't think he's going to have much problem getting open. He has a lot of experience, and he's just going to have a very good week, I think, this week. My second real man for you guys is running back DeMarco Murray. Now, he's a 3-balls pick because he's more of a situational pick. But I think he's going to do good because Tony Romo did get hurt this week. And his X-ray came back clean, but he's going to be a little bit sore. Also, Des Bryant has a little bit of a foot injury as well. So I think they're going to have to lean on the running game this week. And Kansas City's run defense is not as good as their passing defense. So Murray rushed for 86 yards and he caught 8 receptions for 39 yards. So if Romo isn't feeling good with those ribs, he's going to just have to check the ball down, and Murray's going to do pretty good for you guys. So, and then my third real man for you guys is tight end Greg Olsen. He's like a 2 balls pick. Again, if you have him, you're probably going to always be starting him for the most part. But he's really the only target that Cam Newton has, which we've said before, besides Steve Smith. And they're playing the Bills defense, which is not that great. He only had 5 catches for 56 yards last year, but he was playing against Seattle's defense, which is one of the best defenses. So they're not going to have to worry about that with the Bills. I think he should be able to get you guys a touchdown for sure this week, hopefully. And I actually have an extra guy for you guys. I have Deshaun Jackson as well. Now I have to talk about him because I was watching the game last night, and wow, that offense is fun to watch. Deshaun Jackson had 7 receptions for 104 yards and 1 touchdown. And Vic actually said that we've only seen about 60% of that offense. Also, Chip Kelly said that they didn't go fast enough, even though it looked fast to all of us. They're playing San Diego's defense, which looked pretty gassed against the Texans. And if they were tired against the Texans, they're going to be exhausted against the Eagles. So get Deshaun Jackson in your line. I think he should definitely be stout for you guys. Those are my real men for this week. And we are going to swing it over to Greg to get his beast mode picks. So stay tuned for that.
Here are 3 beasts that are going to go ballistic this week and make your lineup more supersonic than a damn Virgin Airlines space flight, all right? My first pick, this guy went crazy this week, and he's going to go crazy again. A.J. Green of the Bengals. I had to watch him take apart the Bears' defense. This is a 1 balls pick because if you don't play him this week, you might as well not be playing fantasy football at all. Again, he's been putting on clinics his entire career, did one last week. Even when it was double covered, he managed to catch the ball every single time. Green is just a miraculous player, and he's going to put up monster stats for you all year. 162 yards last week, 2 TDs, again, against my Bears defense. That sucks. He's going to do the same kind of damage this week against a pretty rusty Steelers D. My second beast, running back Reggie Bush of the Lions. This is a 2 balls pick because I'm simply playing the trends. Bush didn't break 100 yards rushing this week, boo-hoo, against the Vikings. He only got 90 yards rushing. You know why I'm picking him? Because he became Stafford's wonderful new receiving threat. Megatron got overshadowed by Bush's insane 101 yards receiving on 4 passes. That's a 25-yard average per catch. It's crazy. I predict Bush is just going to go crazy again on an Arizona defense that gave up 27 points to the Rams this week. My third beast is wide receiver Wes Welker of the Broncos. This is another 2 balls pick. I don't think you should be taking too many risks this early in the season. We'll give you those 3 and 4 balls picks for bye week coverage later on when you're going to have to make some really ballsy decisions. I know a lot of amateurs will be going after Orange Julius Thomas after he benefited from 2 of Manning's 7 touchdowns last week for the Broncos. But my prediction is that he's going to be a 1-week blunder. He's going to be kind of an Ogletree, just like Ogletree was at the beginning of last season. I think that they're finally going to catch up to him, the defensive coordinators, and they're going to account for him. Get Welker. He's going to be your sure bet. He's Tom Brady's favorite new target. He was Tom Brady's favorite target last year. He's now become the Sheriff's favorite target this year. Mark my words. I think he's just going to rack up tons of points for fantasy owners against the Giants defense this week that gave up 36 points to Dallas last week, which, damn. So now we'll take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to have a new segment the Big Balls / Section 357 podcast Retro Rumble, where we're going to do a new experiment in going back in time and seeing how it used to be back in the day with fantasy stats. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Big Balls Fantasy Football. This time we have a very special guest with us from the Section 357 show. We have Trey in studio and we have Floyd on Skype with us. So tell us a little bit about your guys' show and fantasy.
Well, first of all, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for allowing us to be a part of this amazing show.
Man,
it's so necessary and so needed. And the Section 357 show is an amazing podcast with me and my friend Floyd, Derek, Ronnie. Floyd's on here somewhere back there. Yeah, there he goes right there. Saying hello to everybody.
Hi, Floyd.
Hey, Floyd. And we give a hip-hop / sports outlook of what's going on in the world of sports and entertainment. Floyd is our master producer, man. Please let everybody know what it is that we do.
Well, first of all, thank you all for letting us invade your show this week as the Section 357 show. We are essentially the sports mixtape where we try to bring a hip-hop edge to sports. Sports and music often go hand in hand, and we like to appreciate that. So we have lots of hip-hop references on our show, and we often draw really great analogies to what happens in the world of sports and the world of music.
I listened to the podcast, Floyd. It's just awesome. I thought it was great. It just flows. It just flows and flows and flows, and that's why we wanted to do this fantasy experiment with you, this mad scientist experiment that we're going to do with you called the Retro Rumble. Basically, we're going to have you guys go back in time to a year. We're going to the 90s, right?
Oh, yeah. We're going deep into the 90s.
I wanted to go into the 80s, but I was afraid there would be, fantasy stats written on, tablets or something. Newspapers might not have been printing, but back in my day when you used to have to fax in the lineups. But
Right.
The 90s, you guys are going to pick 3 players from the 90s. We're going to pick 3 players from now, the top players, and we're going to go mano a mano with a quarterback, a running back, and a wide receiver.
Okay.
And through the entire season, about every 3 weeks, come back and check in, and we're going to see who did best.
See, I think we're gonna stand an edge over here because players were a lot tougher in the 90s, and you gotta admit that the 90s generation of football. I mean, look who's in that era. You've got everybody from Dan Marino to John Elway to Thurman Thomas.
A lot of record holders.
To Bo Jackson. I mean, it's like we're like kids in a goodie basket. So we at the Section 357 show, our Black Lion of Voltron, Floyd over here. We all put our heads together. And we came up with a pretty good list of who we think is going to give the best possible results in fantasy football history. Floyd, can you give them a breakdown of exactly what it is that we're going to be bringing to this?
Sure, Trey. Well, we hopped into the hot tub time machine and set it back to 1993, 20 years ago. And as Trey mentioned, our whole team is essentially Hall of Famers because back during that time, the greats put up great numbers and it reflected in their Hall of Fame inductions. So we're going to take 3 starters and 3 backups just to account for the bye weeks of that time because for some of our fans out there who may not remember, back in 1993, there were actually 2 bye weeks during the season. So we had starters as well as bye week replacements. Our starters for our team, quarterback, Steve Young, running back, Emmitt Smith, wide receiver, Sterling Sharp. Our backups are John Elway, Thurman Thomas, and Jerry Rice.
Damn.
Oh, that's a monster squad right there.
And
Don't
we
be afraid.
didn't-
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid.
All right,
We
come on.
didn't
Don't
let
be.
them check stats before they did their picks. So that
There
was
are
one of
no
the
stats
things.
being
There were
checked.
no stats being looked at.
Yeah.
We're just going to go by every week and add up these scores. So do you want to talk about who we have?
Yeah, I mean, that's what's going to make it fun is looking back and seeing what players did then, and we all know what our wonderful players did last year. Well, you have the quarterback. Why don't you start
I
with
have
the quarterback?
so I'll start you off with that. We took Aaron Rodgers. Now, last year, he did pass for 4,295 yards with 39 touchdowns, excuse me.
Oof.
And he only had 8 interceptions, so that's not too bad. And he rushed for 259 yards and 2 touchdowns. So that is the quarterback we took. And then our bye week quarterback is going to be Drew Brees.
Drew Brees, right.
So I don't know. I don't think we can go too wrong with those quarterbacks.
No, no. But our running back is the bionic man. He's unstoppable. We're going with AP, of course. We decided to just go, most of the players that you took in your first round, if you had the first or second pick anywhere in the first round, we're putting those players down because they're just the players that we hope will produce. AP, 2,097 rushing yards, 12 touchdowns. I mean, come on. 40 receptions for 217 yards. Do I just need to keep pouring it on and on and on and punishing you? Really?
That's good. But see, the thing is that our guys, I mean, come on, Young, Emmitt Smith, those boys that he was running behind. And the thing that most people don't really realize is how dominant Sterling Sharp was back then.
Oh yeah, before the injury.
I mean, yeah. I mean, he was the man, and we went back to '92 to check out some of those numbers, and those numbers were astonishing. And you also have to keep in mind this is before the 3-ring circus of wide receivers and quarterbacks that we have going on today. I mean, it was top-notch football going on.
And speaking of wide receivers,
Floyd, can you guess maybe who one of our receivers is? I'm putting you on the spot, I know.
Well, you are putting me on the spot, but I have to, if I had to think about who you could pick, considering who you've chosen for quarterback and for running back, you guys went pretty conservative, pretty safe guesses. I would have to go with my fellow Atlanta native Calvin Johnson, a.k.a. Megatron. If I were you guys, I would pick that guy for my starting wide receiver. Who did you guys go with?
That is a great guess. We did go with good old Megatron. You know, I have a thing for Megatron a little bit, so you know. But he had 122 receptions last year for 1,964 yards. Only 5 touchdowns, but he's going to get more than that this year. And our backup wide receiver is A.J. Green. So, I don't know. I think it's going to be a fun competition against you guys. But as always, I think we're going to win.
Now, every week, we're going to blow it a little bit.
Okay.
We're going to, on the podcast, give a little bit of a taste of how the stats are doing every week. So you can catch it on the podcast at blogtalkradio.com/bigballsfootball and sneak in before we reveal every 3 weeks who the winner is.
Okay. This is going to be great.
And we're going to come up with some type of prize or bet or something that we haven't thought of yet.
In 3 weeks. Yeah, let's throw down the gauntlet here.
I think so.
Make this
we can do
worth it.
Oh, I don't know about you guys, but I know we at the Section 357 show, we're not worried. It's going to be amazing.
Well, we want to thank you guys for being on the show. We really appreciate it and coming up with this crazy idea. I know it took us weeks to come up with, but we finally came up with something that I think is going to be sound and fun.
Good little experiment. And thank you, Floyd, for Skyping in and talking with us.
Definitely.
And when can they hear your guys' podcast as well?
Yes.
Sure. We talk about sports and hip-hop and all the things in between. And you can check us out if you just follow us on Twitter at Section 357. And from there, you can catch all of our shows. We host all of our shows. Part of our archive as well is also on iTunes. So between iTunes, between Stitcher, which is an app for mobile devices, you find our show there. We're all over the place. So if you just start with Section 357, you'll get all of our show content. And thanks to you all for joining in with us in this experiment, because this should be a great chance for all of our fans to see, in some ways, how the game has changed from the 90s to now, really, in terms of offense and how players played and the stats that were put up. So we're looking forward to having a great time this season.
Indeed. Thank you, Floyd. So when we come back, we're going to be at Tin Horn Flats, Burbank. We had a lot of fun week 1 with the Bears, didn't we, Jenilee?
We had a lot of fun. And we have some footage to show you guys from how much fun we were having there. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Here it is. This is Big Balls Fantasy Football, and welcome to Tin Horn Flats, Burbank, the home where we come to worship The Chicago Bears, everybody.
Go Bears!
Go Bears, that's right. All SoCal transplant fans come here to watch the game every Sunday. We're diehard. We worship at the ground of, you know, the greats. Papa Bear Hallis, Walter Payton. Now we're worshiping Jay Cutler and Matt Forte.
Whoa, we're not worshiping Cutler just yet.
I've been worshiping Jay Cutler.
Not just yet.
And we need to worship him
Maybe
today.
B. Marshall.
We worship at the ground of B. Marshall, Peppers, all the great defensive greats. Urlacher no longer with
Hey,
us.
we're both wearing Peppers today.
We both are wearing Peppers today. That's right. And everybody comes here, up here in Burbank. You're going to see diehard crazy Bear fans like you've never seen them before. Jenilee's going to tell you about how a fantasy fan has to deal with this every Sunday.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult because they don't have the best Wi-Fi here. So if you're trying to set your lineup last minute or check on the injured players, it is very difficult. You can kind of walk down the street and maybe get your last minute lineup in, but it's also hard to check on how your fantasy players are doing during the games. So for the morning games, you kind of just have to suck it up, just be a Bears fan, just root for the Bears, be focused in on the Bears, and you know, check your fantasy team at halftime, and then you can watch them for the afternoon games. But it is kind of difficult not being able to see all the games because the only game that's on here is the Bears game. But Chicago love, that's how we do it.
All right. We'll be back with some more crazy footage and some fans doing some use 'em or lose 'ems and a few Bears challenges. Stay tuned.
How you doing?
This is Louis Pratt.
Yeah, that's right. I'm
How,
Louis Pratt.
how many years have you been coming to this damn
About
party?
12, but I lost count after. It's really, you count by the beer.
About 12.
5,000? And you lose count. These are like the front rows in front. You know, that's like your front
Home
row
plate,
seating.
home plate.
Yeah, downtown we call that. Up here is the box seat by the lake. The watering hole. Up there, that's just the suburbs.
And much easier access to beer.
Much easier to go to the bathroom. It's got a hole right here.
You're not supposed to tell anybody about the hole, man.
This is Fredo.
How you doing?
He's the mayor of this bar, the mayor, as I call him, of Tin Horn Flats. I need a prediction on the game from you.
Bears 35, Bengals 17.
And we'll see if that comes true. How long have you been coming here to Tin Horn Flats, Burbank?
This is my 12th season. I started in 02. When I was 19. Don't tell anybody that, though.
Yeah. And do you have a prediction on the game today?
Of course, I got the Bears by at least 3. I think the difference maker is going to be Matt Forte. The Bears have a better running game, but it's pretty evenly matched when it comes to defense. However, that X factor is going to be Matt Forte.
As you can see, just like everybody on Big Balls Fantasy Football, Bears fans are the most knowledgeable football fans ever.
One thing to throw in, speaking of that knowledge, I wear number 98. For those of you that don't know who he is, he ended Brett Favre's career with a sack. It was his first NFL sack, and I made this vow: whoever ends his career, if it's a Bear, I'm going to get his jersey. I never thought the dream would come true. It did, and now he's a starter. So good things happen when you take out Packer players.
Alrighty, thanks, Anthony. Traditional toast after the touchdown.
My name is Earl! My name is Earl! My name is Earl!
Now this is a 50-cent beer. Notice my face when I drink it. I think it's runoff from the grill, actually. That's what I always say. I think being a Catholic from Chicago, all of us, most of us, you have to punish us for our sins and for being Bears fans. So you have to get the 50-cent beer, and it wouldn't be a 50-cent beer if it was good. Here's what you do. Beer all goes in the same place. We are here at Big Balls Fantasy Football. Use 'em or lose 'em. We are going to throw it on with Peyton here to see which player she'd rather take with which defense. How long have you been playing fantasy football, Peyton?
I only played a year.
So you're a newbie. That's awesome. How you been enjoying it?
It's good. I wish I had more time to pay attention.
So who do you think's doing good fantasy-wise in this Bears game today?
Robbie Gold, the kicker.
He always is our top scorer on our team, which is a problem on the Bears. So I'm going to give you 2 wide receivers, and you have to tell me which one you think is better against which defense, which one you pick, okay? We have Reggie Wayne versus the Oakland D, the Whoop, and even on the same level, Mike Wallace versus the Cleveland D. Why would you take Reggie Wayne against Oakland D?
Oakland sucks. Sorry, guys.
I think that kind of just says it all. Oakland sucks on D. And Reggie Wayne is just reliable. It's reliable. Thanks a lot, Peyton.
So we have Tim here. He is loyal to our Bears bar.
Oh, Bears.
One of my very good friends. And just a quick, how do you think the Bears are doing in the first half?
I'm a little disappointed about our defensive line right now. We're not getting any pressure, but the offense is doing pretty well, and Charles Tillman is beasting it right now.
Awesome. So now I'm going to give you some fantasy picks.
All right.
Would you rather take Jimmy Graham versus Atlanta's defense or Jason Witten versus the Giants defense and why?
Oh, that's actually hard. I don't think you can go wrong with either pick there, but I would take Jimmy Graham just because they line him up as a wide receiver more, and so he's more likely to get bigger chunks of yards and more touchdowns than Jason Witten, who gets the small chunks. PPR though, Jason Witten's the beast.
I like it. So there you go. Those are our tight end picks, and we will get back to you guys a little bit. There you have it. That is a Sunday in the life of a Bears fan at Tin Horn Flats in Burbank. If you're ever visiting from Chicago, be sure to go there. And tune in next week. We are going to have your Week 3 picks. And we want you guys to also brag on our Twitter, which Greg is going to tell you about, how your lineups are doing.
At Big Balls F Ball is where you just go crazy and tell us how awesome your teams are doing. You go to bigballsfantasyfootball.com and you find all of our other social media links. And of course, catch our clips on the Stream.TV YouTube page and at the Stream.TV/BigBalls. We're there all the time.
We are everywhere. And like us on our Facebook, facebook.com/bigballs. And you can see all of our shows. So
that's right.
That's all we have for you guys tonight.
That's it. Good luck, everybody. Good night.